Lots of people ask me, what's the difference between games and gamification? And while they sound the same, they both have game in them, they're really not the same thing, although there's a lot of overlapping attributes and elements. So let's talk about gamification first, and then we'll talk about game-based learning. So gamification is an umbrella term, basically meaning let's take bits and pieces and parts of games and let's use them in non-game settings. The reason is games have embedded psychological motivators and engagers already in them. So for example, one of the things that motivates people to play games is the sense of progress, right? We move through the game space and we like to see that progress. And in fact, we like to see progress outside of game spaces. So if you're going on a journey, you like to see where you are, where you're going. If you're in your career, you like to see where you're going, your progress. So progress is a driver or a motivator that's in games, and we can take that and use it for gamification. The other thing is gamification doesn't always look like a game. So let me give you an example. A social media company wanted people to complete profiles, part of the social media product. And so what they did is they put a progress bar onto the social media profile, and the more people, the more information that you filled out, the further the progress bar went. That means a gamified element, the progress bar, was used to help drive the activity, which was filling out the social media profile. And this isn't an academic exercise. In fact, the company that did this saw a 30% increase in the number of profile completions. So when you think about gamification, an umbrella term for thinking about psychological elements that drive and engage us, and a lot of those elements are in games, don't think about creating a game, think about using the elements, bits and pieces to drive motivation and engagement. Now, if you look at game-based learning, it's different than gamification. Game-based learning is basically an entire system designed around helping you achieve, in this case, a learning goal. So game-based learning is where the activity of playing the game itself teaches the learner what they need to know as they go through the game. So that's really kind of an important thing to think about. Game-based learning has a defined beginning, middle, and end. And to make game-based learning effective, you typically want to have kind of an introduction. This is what I want you to focus on when you look at the game and when you think about playing the game. And then in the middle of the game, you want people, to play the game. And then at the end, you want this debriefing. Gamification typically doesn't have a debriefing, but game-based learning does, because you want to say, okay, let's look at this experience and define that from a learning perspective. You did some things in the game, maybe negotiated, maybe sales skills, maybe learning features and functionality of a product, but now we want to talk about what is the learning outcome. So that's really the difference between gamification, bits, pieces, parts of games, but is not a game itself, and game-based learning, which is a game itself designed to help meet a learning outcome. So that's the difference between gamification and game-based learning.